which is urinalysis. So we'll be talking about the physical examination, chemical exam, microscopic exam, and other renal disorders. So before we go to the physical exam, we must talk first changes in unpreserved urine. So it is important to note because uh, unpreserved urine or specimens left upon prolonged standing may affect certain tests or analytes that we are trying to detect in the urinalysis. Okay, so um, what are the analytes affected if there is an unpreserved specimen or a properly stored specimen? So analytes or parameters like turbidity or clarity, pH, bacteria, odor, nitrite are increased due to the presence of or proliferation of bacteria. For glucose, ketone, bilirubin, urobilinogen, WBCs, RBCs, and Cas, they are decreased. Okay, so glucose is decreased because of metabolism by bacteria, ketone, volatilization usually, but for acetoacetic acid, okay, it is caused by breakdown by bacteria. Bilirubin, urobilinogen, both are decreased because of oxidation. So bilirubin oxidizes to biliverdine, urobilinogen oxidizes to urobilin. Okay, so for WBC and RBC cast, okay, they are sensitive to pH, okay, as well as specific gravity. So these cells usually lies in dilute alkaline specimen. Okay, so let's talk about physical examination. Okay, so in the physical examination, we're going to talk about volume, color, clarity, specific gravity, and odor. So those with asterisk, those are the tests not usually included in the routine physical exam. Okay, because si volume at odor, di na siya usually ginagamit. Okay, for the routine physical exam. For specific gravity naman, di siya kasama sa physical exam usually kasi doon na siya sinasama sa chemical examination. Okay, so ang routine part lang talaga dito is yung color and clarity. So let's talk about urine volume first. So the urine volume depends on the amount of water excreted by the kidneys. So the amount of water excreted by the kidneys is affected or determined by the body's state of hydration. Okay. Although it can also be influenced by certain hormones such as, of course, in antidiuretic hormones. So, ang important hormone implicated in urine volume is yung hormone na ADH. Okay, yun yung nagdedetermine kung yung nagdedetermine yung amount ng water na excrete ng kidneys. So, if higher ADH, mas lower yung water na excrete. Okay, lower ADH, okay, mas mataas yung water na in-excrete ng kidneys. Okay, so normal volume of a patient or normal random urine or normal random volume of the urine is ranges from 600 to 2000 ml. Okay, but average of 1200 to 1500 ml per day is considered normal. So increase in daily urine volume or greater than 2.5 liter per day in adults is considered as polyuria. So ano yung mga conditions na dapat natin na nagkakos ng polyuria? So dapat alam na alam natin yung DM at yung DI. Okay? So again, DM and DI. So diabetes mellitus and diabetes insipidus. For anuria, okay, no urine production or complete cessation of urine. So sa nangyayari yung anuria, so incomplete obstruction of the urinary tract. For oliguria, decrease in urine output, less than 400 milliliter per day in adults. So what are the conditions associated with oliguria? Partial obstruction of the urinary tract or kidney tumor, okay, as well as dehydration. Okay, so again, urine volume is largely dependent on the body state of hydration. For urine color, it is affected by normal metabolic functions, physical activity, ingested materials, or pathologic condition. So normal urine color is attributed to three pigments, urochrome, urethrin, or urobilin. But for the normal freshly voided urine, okay, ang major determinant ng color is of course yung urochrome natin. Okay, it is responsible for yellow color. Okay. But take note, si urethrin and urobilin, present din sila in normal freshly voided urine but in trace or minimal amounts. Okay, so saan lang nagiging madami tong si urethrin and urobilin? In improperly stored, dumadami sila in improperly stored or refrigerated specimens. Okay, for urethrin, it is most evident in a refrigerated specimen. So the appearance of urethrin is that it causes pink coloration, okay, into after refrigeration of the specimen. So yung pink urethrin na pigment nag-attach sa surface ng amorphous urine. For urobilin, it causes a orange-brown color on unpreserved urine. So again, urobilin is the oxidized form of urobilinogen. That's why kapag unpreserved, again, urobilinogen, magiging urobilin. So what are the other color must uh, observe or remember? Dilute urine, colorless, pale yellow. Concentrated urine, dark yellow. Bilirubin, amber, yellow foam when shaken. So take note kapag nakita kayo sa case study or question ng yellow foam, okay, bilirubin. Pseudomonas infection, it may show green or blue-green appearance. Blood hemoglobin, myoglobin, pink, red, brown standing. For porphyrin, of course, yung characteristic port wine color. For methemoglobin, brown or black. Homogentic acid, okay, may increased homogentic acid or in cases of alkaptonuria, okay, normal upon voiding, black-brown upon standing. So take note, bakit siya naging black-brown upon standing? Nag-iiba lang yung pigment niya kapag mas nagiging alkaline yung pH. So again, kung matatandaan, habang mas unpreserved siya or mas prolonged standing, mas nagiging or tumataas ang pH. So homogenetic acid becomes black or brown, mas nagiging black or brown siya kapag mas nagiging alkaline yung specimen, which is, of course, exemplified if the specimen is left standing. Okay, but prolonged standing. How about for melanin or in cases of malignant melanuria? Okay, so in here, the specimen turns brown or black upon exposure to air. How about for clarity? So clarity, transparency, or turbidity of the specimen. So how will you evaluate the clarity of the specimen? So just like the way the ancient physicians used. Okay, so visually examination of a well-mixed specimen. So take note, well-mixed dapat yung specimen. So before evaluating the clarity. So well-mixed specimen, holding it in front of a good light source against a white background. So what are the terminology used to report clarity? Okay, clear, hazy, cloudy, turbid, and milky. So again, take note, dapat yung specimen well-mixed. For specific gravity, so specific gravity indicates the kidney's concentration ability and body state of hydration. So specific gravity is a test test that evaluates the tubular reabsorption function of the kidneys. So specific gravity is defined as the density of a solution, so which in this case urine sample, compared with the density of a similar volume of distilled water, which has an Hg of 1.000. So at a similar temperature. So the normal random specimens, okay, may have a specific gravity range approximately 1.002 to 1.035. Take note that if naka-receive ka ng specimen ng specific gravity less than 0.002, you should suspect na hindi na yun urine. Okay? Baka tampered na yun or baka improperly collected. So what are the ways that you can assess or measure specific gravity? First, we're going to talk about urinometry. So urinometry, ang principle niya is density. So what are the factors or variables that may affect the specific gravity grading for urinometry? So again, tatandaan natin for urinometry, it is affected by presence of protein, glucose, as well as temperature. Okay, for protein, for every 1 gram per deciliter of protein in the specimen, you need to subtract 0.003. For glucose naman, for every 1 gram per deciliter, you need to subtract 0.004 in the specimen. Okay, for temperature, take note that ang calibration temp natin dito, 20 degrees Celsius. So, dyan tayo magbe-base ng changes. So, ano yung correcting factor natin dito for temperature? So you need to increase or rather add or subtract 0.001 for every 3 degrees Celsius above or below the calibration temp. Okay, so aside from that, urinometry is also affected by radiographic contrast media. So, in order for it to apply, okay, mag-answer tayo ng question. So, given the following results, specific gravity by urinometer at 23 degrees Celsius, 1.024, there is present glucose, 1 gram per deciliter. May protein din, 2 gram per deciliter. What is the final specific gravity? So, ano yung first step natin to approach this question? Okay, alamin muna natin kung ano yung method na ginamit for the determination of specific gravity para malaman natin kung ano yung i-correct. Okay? For in this problem, ang ginamit daw urinometer. So, alam natin kay urinometer, dapat mo mag-correct ng presence ng glucose, protein, at temperature. Okay? So, ang susunod na doon, dapat titignan mo na kung ano yung mga given result, of course. So, first, we have to, of course, write muna yung initial SG. Okay, dyan tayo magsa-start ng equation. Next, so again, ang alam natin for specific gravity determination by urinometer, okay, may correction for temperature. So again, ang calibration temperature natin for urinometer is 20 degrees Celsius. So again, ang rule natin dito for urinometer, okay, you should add or subtract 0.001 for every 3 degrees Celsius above or below the calibration temp. So again, ang calibration natin, temp natin is 20. So ang given 23. So may 3 degrees Celsius above the calibration temp, which is 20. So you just need to add 0.001. Next, we have yung glucose. So, ang glucose dito, again, yung rule natin dito, ang general rule natin is for every 1 gram per deciliter of glucose, you need to subtract 0.004. Okay? How about for protein? Again, ang general rule naman natin for protein, for every 1 gram per deciliter of protein, you need to subtract 0.003. Okay? So, ang palatandaan dito, para di kayo malatawag glucose and protein, again, protein. Okay, protein. Okay, protein may 0.003. Okay, so in here for protein, since 2 gram per deciliter yung given, i-multiply mo lang yung 2 sa factor natin na 0.003. So you need to subtract a total of 0.006. So yung final equation, 1.024 plus 0.001 minus yung added natin na glucose and protein. Okay, and then the final answer would be 1.015. Okay, so the final answer here for this question is letter D. Okay, 1.015. Next, we have refractometry or TS meter or total solids meter. So the principle of refractometry, just from the name itself, it uses the principal refractive index. Ano ba tong refractive index? So refractive index is basically a comparison of the velocity of light in air over the velocity of light in a solution. So in this case, urine sample. Okay, so habang mas maraming dissolved substances sa urine, okay, mas bababa yung velocity ng light sa sample. Okay? Mas bababa yung velocity ng light niya. Bababa yung velocity ng light sa sample, of course. Okay? So next, what are the factors that may affect specific gravity grading for refractometry? So again, it is affected by protein, yes. Glucose, yes. But for temperature, take note, di siya affected. Okay, so bakit di siya affected? In here, the temperature is already compensated. Okay, temperature is already compensated. So, i-correct lang natin protein and glucose. Okay, same pa din ng correction. Okay, 0.004 protein, glucose 0.004. So, is refractometry affected by radiographic media? Okay, in the presence of radiographic contrast media, yes. Okay, pareho pa rin sila ni urinometry. So, given the following results, okay, specific gravity of the TS meter at 26, 1.020, protein 1000 mg per deciliter, glucose 1 gram per deciliter, what is the final specific gravity? So again, ang approach natin in this question is that alamin mo muna kung ano yung method yung ginamit. So ang ginamit, TS meter or refractometer, alamin mo na kung ano yung mga variables or factors na makaka-affect sa testing for TS meter. Okay, so again, you need to correct for the presence of protein, glucose, but not temperature. Okay, so again, walang correction for temperature. So, kahit binigyan tayo dito ng 26, wala kang pake dyan. Kasi di mo na kailangan mag-correct ng temperature kasi compensated na siya. How about for glucose? So, again, yung rule natin for glucose, for every 1 gram per deciliter of glucose, you need to subtract 0.004. For protein, again, for every 1 gram per deciliter, you need to subtract 0.003. But ang given here is 1,000 milligram per deciliter. So, convert mo lang, 1,000 milligram per deciliter is equal to 1 gram per deciliter. Okay, so add mo lang tong dalawa, glucose and protein, you'll have a total of negative, or you need to subtract a total of 0.007, okay, to the initial SG. Okay, so the final answer would be 1.013. Okay, your letter B. Next, we have our harmonic oscillation densitometry. Okay, ang principle naman ito, just from the name itself, densitometry. So, ang principle niya, density. Okay? So, ito naman, harmonic oscillations. So, something to do with sound wave or sound. Okay, kasi yung principle nito, frequency of a sound wave in relation to the density of the solution. So, usually, this harmonic, dati, prior to the advent of the reagent strip, okay, ang ginagamit for specific gravity in automated urinalysis instrument is yung harmonic oscillation densitometer. But ngayon kasi, meron na tayong specific gravity sa reagent strip. Okay? Yun na yung ginagamit sa automated urinalysis. Next, we'll now talk about reagent strip for the detection or for determination of specific gravity. So for reagent strip, measurement of specific gravity by means of a chemical reaction producing a color change. So yun yung basic principle, okay, ng reagent strip. So ano yung principle naman ng specific gravity? So pKa change of a polyelectrolyte in an alkaline medium. So basically, the polyelectrolyte will change, okay, depending on the number of ions or ionizing substances present in the urine. Okay? So, dependent siya sa number ng ionizing substances or ions present in the urine. So, take note for reagent strip, yung reagent strip natin, yung pad natin for specific gravity is an alkaline medium. So the reagent here, again, yung polyelectrolyte, okay, is actually an indicator, which is bromothymol blue. So the specific gravity for reagent strip, okay, mataas yung threshold niya. Okay, 1.00 to 1.030. Kaya na ma-detect. Okay, so para mas madali natin maintindihan or mabilis natin maintindihan, meron tayong illustration here. Okay. So in here, in this illustration, ions in urine low specific gravity. So again, if you're, kakasabi ko lang, the reagent strip for specific gravity actually depends on the number of ions or ionizing substances present in the urine. So in specimens with low specific gravity, mababa yung ions or mababa yung ionizing substances. Since mababa yung ions, mas konti, okay, yung mag-a-attach dun sa polyelectrolyte on the reagent pad. Okay, since mas konti yung mag-a-attach sa reagent pad, magiging alkaline pa rin yung medium. That's why, yung color ng bromothymol blue in alkaline pH still blue-green pa din. Okay, for low specific gravity. So what if mas maraming ionizing substances or ions na present sa wiwi? Okay, so since maraming ions, maraming positive ions, okay, yun yung mag-a-attach sa polyelectrolyte. Okay, so again, if maraming ions, H ions, again, kung maalala sa basic chemistry, H ions, okay, acidic yun in nature. Okay, so since maraming H ions, okay, magiging acidic yung pH. Okay, so from blue-green, magiging yellow-green. So basically, undetectable result nito ng reagent strip is the changing from the alkaline pH of the media to acidic. Okay, magiging acidic na yung media. Okay, based on the number of, again, the ionizing substances present in the urine. So, what are the cause of interference for reagent strip specific gravity? So, it may cause false positive kapag may high concentration ng protein. False negative naman kapag highly alkaline urine. So, kung matatandaan, yung pad natin for specific gravity is that alkaline. Okay, alkaline siya generally, alkaline medium. So kung mas alkaline siya, kung alkaline yon, tapos mas alkaline pa yung urine specimen mo, mas mahihirapan mag-attach yung hydrogen ion in the specimen. Okay, causing a falsely low or falsely decreased specific gravity. So ang resolution doon, ang nire-recommend ng mga manufacturer is to add 0.005 for specimens with a pH of greater than 6.5. Okay? So, ang advantage naman ng reagent strip specific gravity as compared with urinometer and refractometer is that hindi siya affected by non-ionizing substances. Okay? So, again nga, minimeasure niya lang ionizing substances. So, ano ba yung mga non-ionizing substances na alam natin? Yung mga kanina na kinokorek natin. Okay, yung glucose, protein. Okay, so other substances that are non-ionizable, urea, and of course, radiographic media. So, ibig sabihin, to sa reagent strip for specific gravity, hindi siya affected by glucose, protein, and radiographic media. Okay? Wala siya kanyang nakaka-interfere. Next, we have odor. Usually, seldom clinically significant, not part of routine physical examination nowadays. But take note, for odor, it may provide clues for presumptive diagnosis of certain conditions. Most useful siya si odor for presumptive diagnosis of inborn errors of metabolism. Diba usually yun yung may mga amoy. Okay, for the normal odor, okay, aromatic, for bacterial decomposition or UTI, foul-like or ammonia-like or ammoniacal. For ketone, presence of ketone bodies, fruity or sweet odor. Maple syrup urine disease, for of course amoy maple syrup or burnt sugar odor. Phenylketonuria, mousy, okay, yung mga alam natin, tyrosinemia, rancid, sweaty feet, isovaleric acidemia, cabbage or hops, methionine, bleach odor, contamination. So next we now answer the review questions, okay, para ma-synthesize yung mga na-discuss lang natin, kaka-discuss lang natin. So a refrigerated urine sample is tested for your specific gravity using refractometer. So the given specific gravity is 1.010, glucose is 1000 mg per deciliter. So the medical laboratory scientist should, so again, how will you approach this type of question? Alamin muna natin kung ano yung method na ginamit to measure the specific gravity. So again, ang ginamit, refractometer. So alam natin, refractometer, you need to correct for the presence of protein and glucose. So again, kailangan pa ba natin mag-correct for changes in temperature? Okay, no. So because temperature here is already compensated. So correct lang natin refractometer again, protein and glucose. So the answer here, the medical laboratory scientist should correct SG due to glucose. So again, hindi temperature. So sino lang, ano method lang yung may changes in temperature, yung kailangan mo mag-correct if there are changes in temperature. So that's urinometer. So for example, pinasolve kayo ng final SG dito. So how will you compute for the final SG? Okay, so again, yung initial SG natin, 1.00. Ano ulit yung general rule natin for glucose? For every 1 gram per deciliter, you need to subtract 0.004. Okay, so in here, the given is 1000 milligram per deciliter, equivalent siya sa 1 gram per deciliter. So, ibig sabihin, subtract ka lang ng 0.004. So, 1.010 subtracted by 0.004 will yield 1.006. Okay, yun yung final specific gravity. The clarity of a urine sample should be determined. Okay, so again, for determination or evaluation of clarity, gagamitin natin yung way na ginawa ng mga ancient physician. Okay, visual examination of a well-mixed specimen on a good light source against a light background. Okay, against a light background. Okay, so ang answer here for this question, of course, the specimen must be well mixed or thorough mixed. Okay, next question. While performing analysis of a baby's urine, the laboratory notices that the specimen has a mousy odor. Of the following substances that may be excreted in urine, the one that most characteristically produces this odor is Again, yung mousy odor may indicate a certain, di ba? In odor, it may indicate clues for presumptive diagnosis of inborn errors of metabolism. Okay, so in this case, mousy odor, ang alam natin, di ba, phenylketonuria yan. So the answer here, yung excreted in urine, of course, is something to do with phenylketonuria. That's phenylpyruvic acid. So konting background lang with phenylketonuria. So it is a defect in the phenylalanine tyrosine metabolism in which there is a deficiency of the enzyme phenylalanine hydroxylase. So dahil walang phenylalanine hydroxylase, hindi ma-convert yung phenylalanine to become tyrosine. Okay, so in return, there is an accumulation of phenylpyruvic acid. Ito yung amoy mousy. Okay, so kung maalala, acetone, fruity to or sweet, coliform bacilli, may cause ammoniacal or ammonia-like odor. Okay. Usually for porphyrin naman, wala naman siya associated odor but may association siya with color, 'di ba? Porphyrin is associated with port wine color. In which of the following diseases will urine turn dark brown to black upon standing? So again, upon standing, alam natin na dependent yung pagiging dark brown black niya saan? Sa alkalinity. Okay, sa pH ng specimen. Okay, so again, yung nagiging brown or black in the presence of alkaline specimen, okay, that's alkaptonuria. Si melanuria naman, again, brown to black upon exposure to air. A urine sample is tested for specific gravity. The specific gravity is 1.001. So what should the medical laboratory scientist do next? Okay, kung aalala nyo kaninang specific gravity, the normal patient, okay, a normal patient may have a range of specific gravity approximately 1.002 to 1.035. So you should suspect kapag less than 1.002 na, okay, baka hindi na yon urine sample. Kasi kahit sabihin mong pathologic conditions yon, magpo-fall yon pa rin usually on the 1.002 to 1.035. So the answer here is letter D. Next, we now go to the chemical examination. So before tayo pumunta sa mismong test, kailangan mo natin alamin kung paano yung proper process for reagent strip technique. Okay, as well as yung importance ng kada step. Okay, for the first step, dip the reagent strip briefly into well-mixed uncentrifuged urine specimen at room temperature. Okay, anong importance na dapat well-mixed yung specimen? So to ensure ma-homogenize lahat ng sediments at substances na present dun sa urine. So kapag di mo kasi siya minix, okay, yung tendency, yung mga cells, yung mga mabigat na sediments such as cells and cast, may settle at the bottom. And ang tendency, hindi sila madedetect ng reagent strip. Okay, causing a false negative reaction. How about for room temperature? Bakit kaya room temperature? Okay, so again, some of the principles in the reagent strip here is enzymatic reaction. And enzymatic reaction works best at room temperature. So kapag hindi sila room temp, for example, refrigerator, okay, tendency mas babagal yung reaction nila. Okay, pag mas bumagal, magkakaroon ng falsely decreased or false negative results or false negative reaction. Next, remove excess urine by touching the edge of the strip to the container as the strip is withdrawn. Ano purpose ng remove excess ng urine? So the removal of the excess urine may prevent the leaching off of the reagent in the pad. Okay, from the pad rather. So kapag di mo kasi tinanggal yung excess urine, a tendency mag-overflow or lalabas mismo yung reagent, okay, sa reagent strip or reagent pad, causing a false negative result or false negative reaction. How about the third step? Blot the edge of the strip on a disposable absorbent pad. So why is there a need for you to blot the edge of the strip on a disposable pad? So to prevent, okay, that yung main purpose yan is to prevent the runover of reagent from adjacent pads. Okay, so ang pinaka dapat nyo tandaan dyan yung prevention of runover ng reagent ng pH as well as protein. Okay. pH at protein. So bakit? So again, kung maalala nyo, ang laman ng reagent ni protein is that may laman siya na citric acid buffer which is acidic. So tendency kapag nag-run over yon, yung acidic buffer nun, magkakaroon ng falsely, okay, falsely decreased pH, okay, sa pH pad. Okay. So mamamali or maging erroneous yung result mo. Okay. Next, for wait the specified amount of time for the reaction to occur. So again, in all chemical reactions, okay, there is a specific reaction time. Okay, so dapat hintayin mo yun para ma-fully maximize or matapos yung buong reaction. So pag di mo tinapos yung buong reaction, pwedeng magkaroon yun ng false negative reaction. How about number 5? Compare the color reaction of the strip pads to the manufacturer's color chart in good lighting. So why is it necessary for you to observe the reaction at the good lighting? Okay, so the reason is that, of course, you're trying to observe the color. Okay, dapat makita mo vividly yung color para ma-compare mo sa manufacturer's chart. Okay, so kapag failure to compare the color, okay, may cause false negative or false positive results. Okay. Next, now we're gonna talk about the handling and storing of reagent strips. So reagent strip must be protected from moisture, volatile chemicals, heat, and light. So to protect it from moisture and light, so usually the reagent strips are contained in opaque containers, okay, with desiccant. So usually they're stored at room temperature less than 30 degrees Celsius. Okay, they are never refrigerated. So before testing, reagent strips must be checked by using a positive and negative control every day. Okay? Aside from that, kailan ka pa magpa-perform ng QC? Aside from every day. Okay, kapag nagbukas ka ng bagong reagent strip. Okay, as well as if you got questionable results. And last, if there is a concern about the integrity of the strips. If may damage ba or tampered yung mismo reagent strip mo. So, pag-uusapan naman natin yung glucose, okay, of the reagent strip. So, glucose is the most frequently performed chemical analysis on the urine. Okay, so normally, in normal patients, okay, dapat walang presence. Okay, presence ng glucose sa urine sample. So, what is the reason? Okay, what is the reason behind that? So, all glucose are filtered by the glomerulus. But, take note that it is actively reabsorbed by the proximal convoluted tubules. So, kung maalala, in proximal convoluted tubules, nagkakaroon doon ng active reabsorption ng glucose, certain amino acids, and salts. Okay, so glucose is essentially reabsorbed by the proximal convoluted tubules. Okay. So, aside from that, sa anong mga condition pwedeng mag-manifest yung glucose sa urine? In cases of hyperglycemia, kapag masyado nang mataas yung glucose sa circulation mo, such as in diabetes mellitus. So, nangyari sa sobrang taas ng glucose mo, hindi na maka-keep up yung convoluted tubules. So, ang tendency, okay, ina-excrete na nila. Okay, so ano yung level na hindi na sila nakaka-keep up itong mga tubules natin? At levels of plasma glucose of 160 to 180 or greater than that. Okay? So, usually nag-exceed sa 160 or 180. Okay? May range kasi siya. Okay? So, it is the level at which the tubular reabsorption stops for glucose, and eventually, it is excreted in the urine. So, the glucose excretion in the urine is termed as glycosuria. So, even though normally, presence of glucose may indicate diabetes mellitus, okay, pwede rin siyang makita in benign condition. Okay, so anong benign condition yon? Kapag si normal person na hindi siya nag-fast and yung tao na yun, yung patient na yun, kumain ng high glucose content diet. Okay? So, kaya nire-recommend din na before ka mag-submit ng urine, dapat nag-fasting ka. Okay? To prevent false positive yung glucose. Okay? So, aside from that, kailan pa nagkakaroon ng glycosuria ng presence ng glucose sa urine? So, patients with low renal threshold for glucose. So, that is known as renal glycosuria. So, ano ibig sabihin nitong low renal threshold for glucose? Okay, kahit normal naman yung glucose mo sa circulation, okay, normal naman siya, hindi talaga siya nare-reabsorb ng tubules natin. Okay, di siya talaga na-reabsorb ng tubules natin. So, ibig sabihin, for renal glycosuria, there's an indication of a true renal condition or true renal disease. Okay, yung damage or yung pathology within the kidney itself. Okay, hindi dahil sa mataas yung glucose mo. So, this is summary of the clinical significance of urine glucose. So, okay, ito yung mga hyperglycemia associated. Okay, due to the rise of or overflow of glucose in the circulation. Ito naman yung renal associated. The problem is the kidney itself. We have yung Fanconi syndrome. Ito yung most common presentation of renal glycosuria in which there is failure to reabsorb glucose even with normal glucose because Fanconi syndrome is generally the loss of tubular function. So hindi lang glucose yung na i-excrete dyan kay Fanconi. Pwedeng mga amino acids or proteins and certain salts. Okay? Marami. Okay, sa Fanconi syndrome. Now we will go to the technicalities of the glucose reagent strip. So yung principle ng glucose reagent strip, double sequential enzymatic reaction. So double sequential enzymatic, so ano yung dalawang enzyme na yun? Glucose oxidase and peroxidase. So it may be used in conjunction with ketones to diagnose, okay, presumptive diagnosis for diabetes mellitus. So again, ito oxidase, may oxidase. Pwedeng mag-cause ng false positive yung mga oxidizing agent. Okay, oxidizing agents such as detergent. So take note, oxidizing, at may mga oxidase. Ano po ba yung may mga oxidase na principle sa reagent strip? Okay, yung pseudoperoxidase principle ng blood. Okay, yun din affected by presence of oxidizing agent and detergent. Okay, false positive din yan. Okay. So how about false negative? Since ito oxidase, false positive. Okay, yung negative naman of course yung may mga reducing properties. Okay, for false negative, high levels of ascorbic acid. Take note, high levels of ascorbic acid. Diyan na pumapasok yung palatandaan natin, okay, yung bibilang. Okay, so blood, bilirubin, leukocytes, nitrite, glucose, those are the analytes affected by the presence of ascorbic acid. Next, we have yung cleaning test and copper reduction test. So it is used to confirm the presence of other reducing substances, other reducing sugars, okay, other than glucose. So ang principle nito, the ability of the glucose and other substances, other reducing substances to reduce copper sulfate to cuprous oxide. So the reagents of the cleaning test includes copper sulfate, carbonate, sodium citrate, and sodium hydroxide. So what are the limitations of cleaning test as compared with the reagent strip? Okay, so in here nga, ang principle nito is basically copper reduction test. Okay? So hindi siya, ibig sabihin, hindi siya specific for glucose. Lahat lang ng kayang mag-reduce ng reagent. So ano ba yung mga sugars or substances that may reduce the reagent? So yung mga sugars na galactose, lactose, maltose, fructose, ribose. Okay, marami. Okay. So, ibig sabihin, tinitest again is non-specific for glucose. Next, another limitation is yung pass-through phenomenon. Ano yung pass-through phenomenon? Okay, from dapat positive, okay, positive yon, nag-negative siya, okay, causing false negative reaction. So, ano yung reason kung bakit nagkakaroon ng pass-through phenomenon? Masyadong mataas yung glucose level. Okay, usually greater than 2 grams per deciliter. Okay, so ito kasi itong glucose level na to, usually at this level, hindi na siya within the range na kayang ma-measure ng clinic test. That's why nagkakaroon na siya ng false negative reaction. Okay, so aside from that, limitation din ng clinic test, mas mababa yung sensitivity niya as compared with agent strip. It only becomes positive if the glucose reaches 200 mg per deciliter na. Okay, so kapag kinempare mo silang dalawa, si glucose oxidase strip, okay, mas specific sa glucose, mas sensitive pa. Okay. Next, we're trying to compare clinic test versus reagent strip. So, this is very important kasi dito palagi siyang may tinatanong. Okay, kapag sa clinical microscopy. So, what if positive sa clinic test, negative for glucose oxidase or reagent strip? Okay, so of course, again, clinic test measures the reducing substances present in the urine, while meanwhile, glucose detects, of course, the presence of glucose lang. Okay, so interpretation dito, may present na sugars other than glucose or reducing sugars other than glucose. Okay? Non-glucose sugar, other reducing substances. Pwedeng fructose, galactose, maltose, lactose. Okay? How about kapag both positive ang clean test and glucose oxidase? Okay, so the interpretation is that, of course, may presence ng glucose. So again, specific to sa glucose. So what if positive naman sa glucose oxidase reagent strip but negative for clean test? Still, take note, may present pa rin ng glucose. But, bakit kaya nag-negative si clean test? So, dapat positive yan kapag may glucose reducing. Okay, because, yan yung tinatawag natin na ano, again, mababa yung sensitivity ng clean test. So again, di ba glucose oxidase, more specific and more sensitive. So kailan lang ulit nagiging positive ang clean test? Anong level ng glucose? At 200 milligram per deciliter. So again, nagiging positive lang yan kapag 200 milligram per deciliter. Next, how about pag reaction mo 4 plus sa glucose oxidase reagent strip negative for clean test? So there's a possibility na may presence ng oxidized substance detergent. Of course, pag sobrang positive na hindi ito negative, hindi mo pwedeng masabi na baka mababa pa rin yung sensitivity ng clean test. Okay, kasi 4 plus na yung reaction, so mataas na. Okay? So aside from that, ano pa yung pwedeng maging interpretation? Yung tinatawag again na pass-through phenomenon. So, dapat positive talaga sa clean test. Kaso, sa sobrang taas, hindi na siya na-detect ng clean test kasi wala na siya dun sa sensitivity or wala na siya dun sa threshold ng mismong clean test. Okay? So, nagkakaroon ng false negative reaction. Next, we now go to bilirubin. So, the appearance of bilirubin in the urine can provide an early indication of liver disease. So, before we start the bilirubin in discussion, start muna tayo yung kung paano na-form yung bilirubin. Okay? Start muna tayo yung discussion ng bilirubin. Yung bilirubin pathway natin. Okay, so again, bilirubin is derived from hemoglobin. Okay, so hemoglobin liberated from extravascular or intravascular hemolysis. So again, in extravascular intravascular hemolysis, the major contributor of bilirubin is the extravascular hemolysis. Okay, so from the hemoglobin coming from hemolysis, si hemoglobin mag-separated into yung two components niya, di ba? So heme and globin. So the heme part, okay, is separated further into protoporphyrin and iron. Okay, protoporphyrin and iron. Si protoporphyrin, okay, mag-acted upon by, mag-separate pa ulit yun into heme. Protoporphyrin be acted upon by heme oxygenase, di ba? To become biliverdin. Okay? Biliverdin. So, yung biliverdin naman will be acted upon by the enzyme biliverdin reductase to form, okay, what we call as unconjugated bilirubin. So, take note, si unconjugated bilirubin, okay, yung nature niyan is non-polar. Okay, since non-polar, hindi siya kaya makatravel within our circulation, within our blood. Okay, so gagawin niya is makikisakay siya sa transport protein or carrier protein na si albumin. Okay? So saan sila pupunta? Pupunta sila sa liver. Okay? Pagpunta na sa liver, aalis na si albumin. And then, ang mag-a-attach na kay unconjugated bilirubin para makapasok sa mismong hepatocyte is the ligandin or Z protein. Okay, ligandin or Z protein. So from there, the unconjugated bilirubin will be acted upon by an enzyme called uridyl diphosphate glucuronidase transferase, okay, in order to conjugate the unconjugated bilirubin. Okay, so after result, magiging conjugated na siya. So yung conjugated bilirubin, pupasok sa biliary system para makapunta kay small intestine. Okay? So, conjugated bilirubin ngayon nasa small intestine na. So, conjugated eventually be acted upon by bacterial proteases. Okay? Maraming bacteria sa small intestine, yung normal flora. Okay? To form urobilinogen. So, urobilinogen, take note, majority of that becomes the normal pigment of the feces. Okay? So, urobilinogen magiging stercobilinogen. Urobilinogen, urobilin, magiging stercobilin. Okay? Normal pigment of the feces. So, yung natira, yung 10%, yung little amount, will be transported or reabsorbed back to the hepatocyte or the circulation. Okay? Tapos, ang mangyayari, it will travel to the kidney or dadaan sa kidney and then it will be freely filtered by the kidneys. Okay, having urobilinogen being excreted in the urine. Okay, so again, trace amounts or small amounts lang yung urobilinogen sa urine as compared with sa feces. Okay? So what if may problem dito sa biliary system? Okay. Of course, di makadaan si conjugated bilirubin sa small intestine. So this condition is biliary tract obstruction. Okay? So for example, may bara sa biliary system such as in bile duct obstruction, di makapunta yung conjugated papunta sa small intestine. So ano na mangyayari ito kay conjugated? Okay, so it will be reabsorbed back into the circulation. Okay? That's why in bile duct obstruction, ngayon pa lang sinasabi ko na, okay, magiging positive for bilirubin. Okay? So what if mataas naman yung hemolysis? Okay, mataas naman yung hemolysis. So sobrang daming RBCs na na-hemolyze. Ano mangyayari? So kung mas maraming na-hemolyze, okay, mas marami ang conjugated bilirubin. Kung mas marami ang conjugated bilirubin, maraming i-conjugate si UDPGT. So, kung mas maraming mga conjugate, mas maraming maraming magiging result na conjugated bilirubin. Okay, and then, normally naman, hemolytic anemia, okay, di naman, barado, wala namang block, okay, di naman obstructed yung biliary system. So, yung conjugated still will travel to the small intestine. So, kung mas maraming conjugated, mas maraming magiging urobilinogen. Okay, so mas maraming urobilinogen, maraming mapunta sa feces as well as marami ring absorb back into the circulation. That's why for hemolytic anemia or hemolytic diseases, there is an increased urobilinogen naman. Okay? So again, ang palatandaan natin for urobilinogen, positive for result for hemolytic anemia, positive for urobilinogen. For bile duct obstruction naman, okay, positive for bilirubin. So in conjunction with urobilinogen, it is used to determine the cause of the clinical jaundice, whether pre-hepatic, hepatic, or post-hepatic jaundice. So bilirubin is present in the following conditions: liver diseases, hepatitis, cirrhosis, and bile duct obstruction. But again, kakamagad ko lang, bilirubin is most useful for the presumptive diagnosis of bile duct obstruction. Okay, we're in positive si bilirubin. Okay, positive si bilirubin in bile duct obstruction. In here kasi kay liver diseases, hepatitis, cirrhosis may or may not be positive. Okay? So, sa technicalities naman tayo for bilirubin. So, the principle for bilirubin, as you all know, is the diazo reagent. Okay? Diazo reagent, diazo reaction. So, again, ang reagent naman, of course, diazo reagent. So, it is correlated with urobilinogen, of course, for detection of liver diseases, bile duct obstruction, or hemolytic anemia. Okay, so false positive, false high pigmented urine indica metabolism of fluidine. So again, here kung matatandaan, bilirubin is affected by preserved urine. So ang mangyayari yung bilirubin once exposed sa light, okay, mag-oxidize to form biliverdin. Meanwhile, again, si bilirubin nag-fall siya dun sa palatandaan natin na bibilang, di ba, blood bilirubin. Okay, it is affected by the presence of ascorbic acid, causing a false negative reaction. Next, we have yung ICTO test. Okay, yung tablet test for bilirubin. So, ang principle nito, same lang siya with bilirubin. Okay. So, the reagents here uses pyrenitrobenzene, diazonium, paratoluene sulfonate, SSA, sodium carbonate, and boric acid. But, ang advantage nito, rather hindi limitation, okay, the limitation advantage nito ni ICTO test is that it is less affected by interfering substances. Okay, hindi na siya affected nitong ascorbic acid, high concentration of nitrite. Okay, so mas specific na siya dun sa substrate niya. Okay, which is of course bilirubin. So this is an example of bilirubin. So may ang reagent for or ang gamit for ICTO test is actually the specimen mat or testing mat and the tablet test itself. So the positive result for ICTO test is the purplish discoloration, okay, of the testing mat. Okay, yun yung positive result. Next, we have urobilinogen. So urobilinogen is the colorless product derived from bilirubin. So ang normal color ng urobilinogen, colorless. But if excess, okay, nagiging again orange-brown. Okay? Of course, in excess, yung urobilinogen nagiging urobilin, okay? And may cause orange-brown coloration. So in the small, so where sa nanggagaling si urobilinogen, kung maalala kanina, si urobilinogen derived by the action of the bacterial proteases towards conjugated bilirubin. So kung walang conjugated bilirubin ulit, in cases of bile duct obstruction, walang urobilinogen. So kailan ulit tumataas naman yung urobilinogen kung matatandaan kanina? Okay, kapag mataas yung RBCs na na-hemolyze. Okay, increased hemolysis or hemolytic anemia. Okay, so increased urobilinogen both in feces and urine. So in conjunction with bilirubin, it is used to determine again the cause of clinical jaundice. So urobilinogen is helpful to suspect the following conditions. Again, liver diseases, obstruction of bile duct, hemolytic anemia. But it is most useful again for hemolytic anemia in which ito yung positive. Okay? Positive. Ito, urobilinogen for diagnosis of obstruction of bile duct is actually hindi. Okay? Hindi siya helpful. Bakit? Maging helpful ang urobilinogen in diagnosis of obstruction of bile duct kapag kinambine mo sa bilirubin. Okay? Kasi in obstruction of bile duct, okay, ang magiging result for urobilinogen is actually normal. Okay? Kasi si urobilinogen does not detect the absence, okay? Absence of urobilinogen. Okay? Yung negative yung urobilinogen hindi. Okay? Ang ilalagay niya lang ilalabas na result kahit ano mang condition na ibigay mo, normal lang lagi. Okay? Ang dinedetect na lang ni urobilinogen, ang pinapakita niya lang na result, okay? Either normal and increase. Okay? Normal or increase or elevated. In which kaya most useful talaga siya for hemolytic anemia kasi dun siya pinaka nag-i-increase. So, ito important to. The application of urobilinogen and bilirubin for classification of the clinical jaundice. So, for prehepatic jaundice or for hemolytic anemia, so again, ang dapat natin tandaan doon, positive si urobilinogen. Okay? Negative si bilirubin. So, usually naman lahat ng bilirubin, ng conjugated bilirubin, lahat yun napupuntang small intestine. Okay? Lahat yan napupuntang small intestine, lahat nagiging urobilinogen. Okay, for liver diseases or hepatic jaundice itself, there is a failure to, there is the failure for the kidneys to reabsorb, okay, reabsorb back the urobilinogen causing a, okay, falsely positive or rather positive reactions for urobilinogen. Okay, so ito may or may not be positive si bilirubin. For bile duct obstruction, again, ang pinaka-useful test dyan as compared sa dalawa is yung bilirubin. Okay, so again, in bile duct obstruction, the conjugated bilirubin isn't able to go to the small intestine. So if di siya makapunta ng small intestine, walang acted upon yung mga bacterial proteases or bacterial enzymes. So walang magiging urobilinogen. Okay, kung wala magiging urobilinogen, wala ring magiging pigment in feces. Okay, mababawasan ng color yung urine din natin. Okay, but not much. Okay, so again, a major contributor pa rin naman kasi ng color ng urine is the urochrome. So let's go to the technicalities of urobilinogen. The principle of urobilinogen is actually two, depende kung ano method or anong reagent strip yung gagamitin mo. Kung multi-sticks ba yan or chem strip. Okay, so for multi-sticks, it uses Ehrlich reaction. For chem strip naman, it uses diazo reaction. Okay, so reagent. So yung reagent naman for multi-sticks Ehrlich reaction uses the Ehrlich reagent which is also known as the paradimethyl aminobenzaldehyde or yung tinatawag natin na PDAB. Okay, di ba? PDAB. For chemstrip naman, diazo lang din. Diazonium salts. So again, correlation for urobilinogen, it is most useful if combined with bilirubin. So basically, ano ba yung difference nitong Ehrlich reagent or diazo reagent? Actually, si diazo reagent, mas specific siya for the mas specific siya for urobilinogen. Okay, si Ehrlich reagent, hindi lang niya na-detect si urobilinogen. Marami pa rin siya na-detect. Okay? Okay, hindi siya specific. Okay? So, it may also cause false positive if there is a presence of porphobilinogen in the can, para-aminosalicylic acid, sulfonamides, methyl dopa, procaine, procaine, or chlorpromazine. Okay? So, ito mga compounds na to that may cause false positive, okay, false positive for Ehrlich reagent are called Ehrlich reactive compounds. Okay, other Ehrlich reactive compounds. So si chemstrip again, hindi siya affected by other Ehrlich reactive compounds. Specific siya for urobilinogen. Okay? So how will you, for example, multisticks, how will you differentiate urobilinogen from other Ehrlich reactive compounds? Okay, doon na papasok yung mga other chemical tests natin. Okay? Yung pinaka dapat natin tandaan okay, before pala tayo doon, okay, so again, old specimens, okay, oxidation of urobilinogen in unpreserved specimen may cause urobilin. Okay, pwedeng mag-result in urobilin causing a false negative reaction. Okay, going back, ano ulit yung way for us to differentiate, okay, yung mga urobilinogen from other early reactive compounds. Okay, so yun yung tinatawag na Watson-Schwarz test. So Watson-Schwarz test differentiates urobilinogen, porphobilinogen, and other Ehrlich reactive compounds. So this test uses two reagents, okay, chloroform and butanol. Okay, so paano yung preparation ng test na to? Okay, so gagamit tayo ng dalawang tube. Okay, isang for chloroform tube, isang for butanol tube. Okay. So this is the basic setup for Watson-Schwarz. Okay, urine layer, tas chloroform, sa butanol. So, basically, yung palatandaan ko dyan yung ukbo. Okay, ukbo. Medyo mas magpapakinggan, pero yun talaga. Okay, so ukbo, okay, for urine, chloroform, butanol, and urine layer. Okay. So, how will you detect if may presence ng urobilinogen? So, may red coloration, red or pink coloration in both the chloroform and butanol reagent. So, the chloroform and butanol reagents is able to extract the reagent or the substance urobilinogen from the urine layer. That's why dun siya magkakaroon ng red coloration. Okay. How about for porphobilinogen? So how will you differentiate it from urobilinogen? So in here, for porphobilinogen, there is a red or pink coloration in the urine layer only. Okay, so the reagent here fails to extract the substance porphobilinogen from the urine layer. That's why yung coloration lang is still in the urine layer. How about for other Ehrlich reactive compounds? Okay, such as para-aminosalicylate or chlorpromazine, procaine, okay, methyl dopa. Okay, so paano naman sila? Okay, for other Ehrlich reactive compounds, the positive result is there is a presence of red or pink coloration in the urine layer, okay, in the chloroform tube, and extracted lang siya, okay, by butanol. Okay, that's why yung red coloration, okay, positive lang talaga is yung butanol. So the appearance is like this. Okay, so red coloration in the urine layer. Okay, red coloration in the butanol layer, in the reagent. Okay, so butanol lang yung nakapag-extract ng substance na yon sa urine layer. Next, we now move on to Hosch test. Okay, so what is Hosch test? So it's a rapid screening test for urinary porphobilinogen. So besides from doing Washer-Schwarz test, mas tedious siya, mas labor intensive, you can use Hosch test, which is a rapid screening test for urinary porphobilinogen. Okay, so ano yung reagent dito or ginagawa natin dito for Hosch test? So it uses the reagent, Ehrlich reagent, but dissolved in 6 molar 6 normal HCl. Next, we now go to ketones. So ketones are the intermediate products from fat metabolism. Okay, so what are the major ketone bodies okay, present in the normal human body? So majority of the ketone bodies is beta hydroxybutyric acid. Okay, 20% is from the acetoacetate or diacetic acid, and the least percent of ketone bodies, uh, least amount of ketone bodies is the acetone. Okay, about 2%. So Normally, may ketone bodies, okay, in certain condition, but hindi siya nag-appear sa urine. But, ano lang yung mga condition na nag-appear sa urine? Pag increased na yung fat metabolism. Normally kasi may ketone bodies naman talaga tayo, but in small amounts. But, it only appears in urine if there is an increased fat metabolism because there is an inability or failure to metabolize carbohydrates. So, ito yung condition na alam natin, of course, yung diabetes mellitus. Specifically, yung type 1 diabetes mellitus, in which there is an inability to metabolize carbohydrates and associated with increased fat metabolism. So, yung clinical significance ng ketone bodies, of course, again, type 1 DM, insulin monitoring, but it may also again present in benign condition, 'di ba? Normally naman kasi present sa katawan natin 'yon. Okay, it may also cause presence of ketones in the urine during starvation or dehydration, malabsorption pancreatic disorder, ito pathogenic na to. Strenuous exercise, again, benign condition, vomiting, again, inborn errors of amino acid metabolism, pathogenic ulit. Next, we now go to the principle of ketones. So, it uses the principle sodium nitroprusside reaction. Okay, so even though the majority of the ketone bodies is the beta-hydroxybutyric acid, about 78%, ang limitation ng reagent strip is that hindi niya dinedetect yun. Okay, si beta-hydroxybutyric acid. Okay, hindi niya siya dinedetect. So, si ketones, the correlations with other tests, again, used in conjunction with glucose for, again, the diagnosis of diabetes mellitus. So, aside from that, it can also cause false positive interference, phthalate dyes, highly pigmented urine, levodopa, medications containing free sulfhydryl groups. Take note again for false negative, improperly preserved specimens. So again, ketone bodies are prone to volatilization. Okay, nag-volatilize yung mga ketone bodies. But take note, si acetoacetic acid, di siya nag-volatilize but caused by the breakdown of bacteria. Kaya siya nagpa-false negative. Next, we now go to acid test, which is considered as a confirmatory test for questionable reagent strip result. Okay, so primarily used for testing serum and other body fluids. So ano yung laman ng acid test natin? Yung tablet test natin for ketone bodies. Sodium nitroprusside, glycine, disodium phosphate, and lactose. So lactose is used for the better color appearance, okay, of the result for acid test. Next, we now go to protein. So of all the routine chemical tests in the urine, the most indicative of renal disease is the protein determination. But take note, okay, for protein, it is considered as a sensitive but not specific indicator of kidney disease. So again, non-specific sensitive indicator of kidney disease, protein. Okay, so normal urine contains very little protein, less than 10 milligram per deciliter or 150 milligram deciliter excreted every day or 24 hours. So the albumin is the major serum protein found in urine. So aside from that, you can also consider, you have to consider other proteins, okay, that may be present in the urine, okay, such as serum and tubular microglobulins, okay, kasama dyan sila beta-2 microglobulin, okay, of the major histocompatibility complex, as well as presence of cystatin C, okay, yung mga low molecular weight proteins or globulins. How about for term horseball protein or uromodulin? So this is the major protein found in normal urine. Okay, so ito kasi si albumin, lumalabas lang to in certain conditions or pathologic condition. But term horseball protein, ito yung major protein normally found in urine because this is the only protein unique to the kidneys, which is uromodulin. Okay, term horseball protein. So bakit siya unique sa kidneys? Because it is produced by the RTE or renal tubular epithelial cells of the distal convoluted tubules. So what is the clinical significance of proteinuria or protein in the urine? So greater than 30 milligram per deciliter indicates clinical proteinuria. Okay, at this level, greater than 30, nagiging significant na yung proteins, okay, in the urine. Okay, usually, di ba, ang normal protein lang sa urine less than 10. Okay, less than 10. And usually it is comprised pa of other proteins, mga microglobulins, okay, uromodulin, okay. So the proteins or the increase or elevation of proteins is grouped into three categories, okay. If they are increased in proteins before the plasma or pre-renal proteinuria due to renal condition or renal proteinuria, or due to addition of proteins in the lower urinary tract, okay, such as in cases of post-renal proteinuria. So for pre-renal proteinuria, so again, conditions that may affect the plasma before reaching the kidneys. So okay, before the kidneys. So not indicative of kidney disease. So pre-renal proteinuria is usually transient. Okay, it is the results may be positive, okay, because of the presence of low molecular weight proteins, okay, such as hemoglobin, myoglobin, or acute phase reactants. So sa ba elevated yung mga substances na yon. So si hemoglobin elevated sa intravascular hemolysis, si myoglobin elevated for muscle injury, so acute phase reactant naman elevated in infection and inflammation. Those are low molecular weight proteins that may cause pre-renal proteinuria. So ito lang, emphasize ko lang to si multiple myeloma. So this may also cause pre-renal proteinuria. So multiple myeloma is the uh, abnormal proliferation of plasma cells. Okay. So it is malignant in nature. So ang dapat tandaan natin dito with multiple myeloma is that there is a presence of Bence-Jones proteins in the urine, which is actually immunoglobulin light chains. So if you try to remember, yung special characteristic nitong Bence-Jones proteins natin is that it coagulates at 40 to 60 degrees Celsius and then magdi-dissolve siya kapag na-reach siya na yung 100. So again, pre-renal proteinuria associated with low molecular weight proteins. Okay? Usually, transient lang to. Okay, transient in condition. Next, how about for renal proteinuria? So ito associated talaga with true renal disease caused by either glomerular or tubular damage. Although renal proteinuria indicates through glomerular or tubular damage, there are also several benign causes of renal proteinuria. So such as in fever, strenuous exercise, dehydration, and what we call as orthostatic proteinuria. Ano tong orthostatic proteinuria? So appearance of protein following prolonged time spent in vertical position or matagal ka nakatayo. Okay, so how will you evaluate if may totoong kidney disease or may orthostatic proteinuria lang talaga si patient? Okay, so you need to submit a first morning specimen. Okay, so before ka mag-submit, positive ka na urine, positive ka na ng protein sa urine, and then after you submit a first morning, okay, dapat mag-negative yun. Okay, so kapag nag-negative yung first morning mo, okay, it indicates orthostatic proteinuria. So hindi siya renal disease or wala kang sakit sa kidneys. So for post-renal proteinuria, proteins naman added in the urine specimen that is localized in the lower urinary tract such as ureter, bladder, urethra, prostate, or vagina. Okay. So ito yung summary. Okay, for pre-renal again, proteins added before reaching the kidneys usually associated in the plasma. Renal naman associated with true renal condition. Okay. For post-renal, proteins that are added in the urine that is localized in the lower urinary tract. Now we go to the technicalities of the protein reagent pad. So what is the principle of the protein pad? Protein error indicators. Okay, so anong ibig sabihin nitong protein error indicator? So the albumin or the protein, the major protein detected by the protein reagent pad, okay, acts as a hydrogen ion acceptor. So para mas madali nating maintindihan, meron ako ditong illustration. So this is the protein reagent pad. Okay? So bakit siya maraming H+? So if you try to remember, the protein reagent pad contains an indicator, okay, as well as citrate buffer. So citrate buffer which has a pH of 3. Okay, kung pH of 3, again, ano yan? Acidic. Okay, so since mas acidic, mas marami siyang hydrogen ion. Okay, so ano yung protein ERF indicator? So albumin here, in present sa urine sample, acts as an acceptor of the hydrogen ion present in the protein pad. So si H ion from protein pad pupunta siya sa albumin. Okay, so ano mangyayari dun sa protein reagent pad? Mawawala yung H ion. Okay, so from being acidic, okay, environment ng protein pad, magiging alkaline. Okay, so yung positive result dito for protein, yung basically pagiging alkaline, okay, yung environment ng protein. Okay, so the limitations of protein. So this chip is more sensitive to albumin again. So other proteins other than albumin may not be detected, such as globulin. Okay, so the result for this protein can be correlated with the results for blood, leukocytes, nitrite, and microscopic tests. Okay, specifically for detection of casts. So what are the sources of error interference for protein? So highly buffered interference alkaline urine. So again, bakit kaya pwedeng mag-false positive in highly buffered alkaline urine? So again, kapag masyadong alkaline to, okay, masyadong maging alkaline, ang tendency, ma ma-affect niya mismo yung reagent pad. Okay? Ma-affect niya yung reagent pad. So, ano mangyayari? Since masyado siyang alkaline, i-attract ng alkaline na medium yung H ion coming from the reagent pad, causing, of course, false positive. Okay? False positive. So, aside from that, false positive may also is the result if there is highly pigmented specimens, okay, by ingestion of or rather medications by using phenazopyridine. Okay, masyado kasi pigmented urine kapag may phenazopyridine. Quaternary ammonia compounds or detergents, antiseptics, chlorhexidine, loss of buffer, okay, high specific gravity, proteins other than albumin, ito naman, false negative, or microalbuminuria. So of course, negative for microalbuminuria because microalbuminuria is basically lower amounts of albumin in the urine. Okay, since bababa yung, hindi niya ma-reach yung sensitivity no protein pad. So what are the other tests for protein, microalbuminuria, micral test? So not detected by most urine dipstick. Okay, kasi ang urine dipstick may certain sensitivity lang at hindi niya ma-detect yung mga microalbuminuria. So again, microalbuminuria is basically albumin but in low concentration, kaya hindi niya ma-detect. Okay, so it is a diagnostic test for progression into diabetic nephropathy. So usually ginagamit ng micro test sa mga patients na may DM. Okay? Para malaman kung may serious complications sila, okay, into diabetic nephropathy. So what is the principle being used in microalbuminuria? Okay, enzyme immunoassay. How about for sulfosalicylic acid test? Okay, so sulfosalicylic acid test is basically a test, protein test to detect all proteins, all fraction of proteins equally. Okay? Kahit albumin and globulins, it can detect albumin and globulins equally, including, of course, Bence-Jones proteins. Again, if you remember, Bence-Jones proteins yan doon sa mga patients na may multiple myeloma. Next, we have pH. Along with lungs, kidneys are the major regulators of the acid-base content of the body. So again, the major organs involved in the regulation of the acid-base balance of the body is the lungs and kidneys. Okay, add lungs to the excretion or um, uh, uh, rather exhalation of carbon dioxide. Okay, and kidneys naman associated with excretion of hydrogen ion or reabsorption of bicarbonate. Okay, so again, sa kidneys associated siya with excretion of hydrogen in the form of ammonium, weak organic acids or hydrogen phosphate, or reabsorption of bicarbonate. So there are certain conditions that may cause the kidneys to uh, fail the excretion of hydrogen ion. Okay, so the kidneys fail to excrete ion. Okay, So, ibig sabihin, the kidneys is able to acidify the urine sample. Okay, that condition actually refers to renal tubular acidosis. Okay, di siya maka-excrete ng hydrogen ion sa urine. Okay, so the normal random urine for patients ranges from 4.5 to 8.0. But the first morning urine, so again, pag first morning urine, usually acidic yan. Okay, that's why yung normal pH at first morning urine, 5 to 6. So what are the clinical significance of pH? So it aids in determining the existence of systemic acid-base disorder. Okay, kung si patient ba may nag-undergo ng respiratory acidosis alkalosis, metabolic acidosis, or metabolic alkalosis. Aside from that, it's also used for the management of certain condition, okay, such as UTI, calculi formation. So bakit? Okay, so in UTI, there is a presence of urea splitting organisms. Okay, so ang tendency, mas nagiging alkaline yung urine. Okay, so ang tendency, mas nagpro-proliferate yung mga bacteria and organism na yon. Okay, so in order for you to treat that, okay, usually binibigyan ka ng mga diet rich in acids. Okay, acidic diet. Okay, so usually pa nga mga common treatment dati, binibigyan ng cranberry juice to prevent urinary tract infection. Okay, so for how about calculi formation naman? So the most common component of calculi is calcium oxalate. Okay, so since calcium oxalate is an acidic crystal, okay, usually yung mga stone formers, okay, yung mga stone formers, usually they are given medications, okay, medications na magkakos na maging alkaline yung pH nila. Okay, specifically yung mga antacids. Okay. So aside from that, the knowledge of pH is important in the identification of crystals. So for example, may magkakamukha na morphology na crystals such as in webelite or the monohydrate calcium oxalate as well as calcium carbonate. So these two crystals have a morphology of dumbbell-shaped crystal. So how will you differentiate the two? Okay. How will you differentiate the two? So the first useful or the first thing that you'll try to do, of course, is check the pH. Okay, so kapag acidic yung pH or acidic yung pH, of course, calcium oxalate yun or wewelite. Kapag alkaline yung pH, that's calcium carbonate. Okay. Aside from that, pH can also be used to assess improperly preserved specimens. So kapag improperly preserved specimens, usually yung pH nila, okay, greater than 8.8. So 8.5. So again, kung maaalala nyo kanina, ito kasama to sa pabaon. Okay, yung increased na analytes in non-preserved urine, pabaon. Okay, so greater than 8.5. Next in here, I just want to emphasize this table. Okay, if you have time to read this table, okay, present in Strassinger. So, I highly recommend it kasi tinatanong ito. Okay, kung ano dyan yung mga condition associated with acid or alkaline urine. Okay, so ito again, si emphysema emphysema usually causes this acid-base disturbance mechanism. Okay, specifically yung respiratory acidosis. For diabetes mellitus naman, usually cause metabolic acidosis naman. Okay. Dito tayo sa alkaline urine, hyperventilation. Okay, the compensatory mechanism for metabolic acidosis, 'di ba? Hyperventilation. For vomiting, alkaline urine din. Take note, again, yung nabanggit ko kanina, renal tubular acidosis, porket nakakita ng acidosis, hindi siya sa acid urine. Okay, kaya siya tinawag na renal tubular acidosis is that the kidneys or tubules fail to excrete hydrogen ion to the urine. Okay, so the kidney tubules fails to acidify the urine, causing an alkaline urine. Next, we now move on to the principle of the pH reagent pad. So the principle of pH is double indicator system. So the double indicator employed here for pH is methyl red and bromthymol blue. So what are the other tests that can be correlated with the results of pH? Of course, leukocytes, nitrite, and microscopic. So mainly for leukocytes and nitrite, You're trying to indicate the presence of urinary tract infection, right? So, dapat pag pH, usually dapat alkaline. For microscopic naman, because pH, usually mga sediments, okay, mga sediments, crystals, mga cells, okay, usually preserved in acidic pH. Okay. How about the sources of error interference? No known interfering substances, but again, pH is subjected from the runover from adjacent pads. Nabanggit ko kanina during the reagent dipstick technique or reagent strip technique. Okay, since ang kalapit ni pH ay si protein, okay, si protein may citric acid buffer sa reagent pad. So, ang tendency, if hindi mo binlot, okay, yung reagent strip sa absorbent paper, pwedeng mag-run over yung citric acid buffer na reagent ng protein to the pH, causing a interference, falsely acidic pH or erroneous result. Next, we now move on to blood. So, generally, blood, pathologic to. Okay, but in normal patients, mayroon pa ding presence ng little amounts of RBCs. Okay, but of course, hindi yan detected by blood reagent strip kasi may certain sensitivity lang siya na dinedetect. Okay, but the finding of a positive reagent strip test, okay, may indicate really a pathologic condition. Okay, so it may indicate the presence of red blood cells, hemoglobin, or myoglobin. So how will you differentiate the results for uh, hemoglobin, myoglobin, and intact red blood cells or hematuria? Okay, since pare-pareho sila na positive sa blood. Okay, so look at the sample itself, physical examination. So if cloudy red yung urine and at microscopic examination, may presence ng intact RBCs, that's considered as hematuria. So hematuria is considered or is associated with renal calculi, nephritis, pyelo, tumor, trauma, exposure to toxic, okay, so on and so forth. So how about for hemoglobinuria? Clear urine. Okay, red lang siya pero okay, wala kang makitang turbidity. Okay, as well as myoglobinuria. Okay, so sa hemoglobinuria naman, usually present in transfusion reaction, hemolytic anemias. Okay, for myoglobinuria, of course, mga muscle wasting diseases or mga crush injuries. Okay, so if you notice, pareho si hemoglobinuria and myoglobinuria na clear red urine. So how will you differentiate hemoglobinuria and myoglobinuria? So you can use two ways, plasma examination or the Bluntheim's test or the ammonium sulfate precipitation test. For plasma examination, again, titignan mo yung plasma. Okay. Again, pareho silang clear red urine. But if you look at the plasma, pag may present ng hemoglobin in cases of, for example, hemolytic anemia, okay, may red or pink plasma, okay, na color. For myoglobin, okay, mga, for example, muscle wasting diseases, crush injuries, normal yung color ng plasma. Aside from that, for hemoglobin, there's increased haptoglobin. So again, if there's increased liberation of hemoglobin, mag-a-attach si hemoglobin kay haptoglobin. Okay? For how about for myoglobin? Increased naman in the plasma, okay, CK or creatine kinase and aldolase, both of enzymes are present in muscles, of course. How about for hemoglobin? Again, this may indicate hemolysis, myoglobin, may indicate muscle injuries or muscle wasting diseases, or rhabdomyolysis. Next, we now move on to Bluntheim's test. So the principle of Bluntheim's test is, again, other name niya, ammonium sulfate precipitation test. Okay, so it involves the addition of ammonium sulfate to centrifuge urine that precipitates the hemoglobin. So basically, pag nag-add ka ng ammonium sulfate, ma-precipitate mo si hemoglobin. So kapag nag-add ka ng ammonium sulfate, nagkaroon ng red precipitate, that's hemoglobin. Okay? Clears your supernatant fluid. Kapag wala naman precipitate, okay, yun naman si myoglobin. Actually, mas mas useful and mas simple as compared with the plasma examination. Now we move on to the technicalities of blood reagent pad. So the principle of blood reagent pad is pseudoperoxidase activity of blood. Uy, para na-mention natin ito kanina, pseudoperoxidase. Again, kapag may mga oxidase, okay, affected yan by the mga oxidizing substances, okay, such as detergent. Kung oxidize din yan, affected din yan ng mga reducing substances such as, okay, ascorbic acid. Okay? Okay, moving back, okay, going back to reagent, okay, ang reagent lang niya is basically indicator tertiamethyl benzene. Okay, it is correlated with results for protein and other microscopic results. So again, microscopic of course for the presence of RBCs. Okay, aside from yung nabanggit ko na oxidizing agent na false positive, okay, pwede rin mag-cause ng false positive yung bacterial peroxidases or mga peroxidase coming from vegetables. Pwede rin yun. How about false negative? Bakit kaya high specific gravity created cells? Okay. High specific gravity or concentrated urine may cause the RBCs to become crenated. Okay. Ang tendency kasi kapag crenated, okay, hindi sila naglalyse once they are in contact with the blood reagent pad. So kung hindi sila maglalyse in reagent pad, hindi sila madedetect. Okay, hindi sila madedetect na reagent step. Kasi important no, dapat mag-lyse yung RBC once in contact with the once in contact with the reagent pad rather. Okay? So in here kasi hindi nag-lyse yung RBCs once naging contact yung created cell sa reagent pad. So again, ascorbic acid, bibilang, blood bilirubin, leukocyte, nitrite, glucose. For nitrite, so it is a rapid screening test for UTI. Okay, so UTI, urinary tract infection includes cystitis or lower urinary tract infection or pyelonephritis. So why is it considered as rapid screening test? So usually kasi for UTI, di ba, still considered as the primary screening, okay, primary diagnosing tool for UTI is culture. But in here, it is considered as rapid screening test because again, it detects the presence of bacteria. Okay? Kaya siya rapid kasi of course, mas maiksi yung turnaround time niya as compared with culture. So, it is used for detection of bacteria, specifically yung bacteria na mga nitrate reducing. Usually, mga nitrate reducing bacteria, they are gram-negative of the Enterobacteriaceae family. So, the principle of nitrite is Grice reaction. Okay, once na nag-positive sa nitrite, it indicates na 100,000 per colony-forming units per ml yung present sa urine. Mas okay? Okay, if you try to remember in microbiology, ito yung number ng organisms na indicative na talaga for UTI. So kapag nag-positive sa nitrite, okay, indicative for UTI. Though still, it may be subjected with interference. Okay? So kaya importante na ma-take note kung kailan kinolek, okay, kailan na-transport sa laboratory. Next, the reagent for nitrite, okay, is para-arsenilic acid for multi-sticks, sulfanilamide for chemstrip. So the result for nitrite can be correlated with leukocytes, again, for UTI, protein, microscopic. So what are the other causes of false negative result aside from high concentration of ascorbic acid? Okay, so di ba kasama to sa bibilang? Okay, so for example, if yung bacteria mo, hindi niya kayang ma-reduce yung nitrate or non-reductase containing bacteria. Okay? For example, hindi siya gram-negative Enterobacteriaceae. Aside from that, pwede rin mag-false negative in insufficient contact time between bacteria and urine nitrate. So, hindi pa naakta pa ni bacteria yung nitrate, hindi niya pa nako-convert into nitrite. So, usually, the minimum contact time of the bacteria and urine nitrate is actually 4 hours. How about the next reason, lack of urine nitrate? Kaya naman pala walang nitrate kasi walang nitrate. Okay, wala namang ma-acted upon si bacteria kasi walang nitrate. So, ang resolution naman dito for lack of urinary nitrate is to actually give the patient a vegetable-rich diet. Since green vegetables or vegetable-rich diet is rich in nitrate or dietary nitrate. Okay, next reason, kapag masyado nang mataas or marami yung bacteria, nako-convert niya na yung nitrite into nitrogen, okay, causing a false negative reaction. Next, yung last natin in the reagent strip, leukocyte esterase. So leukocyte esterase is standardized means to detect leukocyte. Why is it considered as a standardized means to detect leukocytes? Usually kasi, bago lang to na-add si leukocyte esterase. Usually, for the detection of leukocyte, ang main na ginagamit na tool ng mga laboratorians is microscopic examination. But nung na-develop na to, mas naging standardized na yung detection ng leukocytes. Bakit? As compared kasi with the microscopic examination, for leukocyte esterase in the chemical examination, it's trying to detect the presence of esterase granules of WBCs, not the concentration or the number of the WBCs, okay? Which is done in microscopic examination. Okay, dito kasi yung presence ng granules. Okay, so sino-sino ba yung mga WBCs na may granules? Okay, yung mga granulocytes. Okay, such as neutrophils, AO, and baso. Okay, with an addition of the monocytes. So take note, sa lymphocytes, wala siyang esterase. So kapag may presence ng lymphocyte, magne-negative yun sa leukocyte esterase. Okay, so with that said, okay, since the leukocyte esterase is trying to detect the presence of granules, not the concentration or number of WBCs itself, it is more sensitive than the microscopic examination. Okay. Aside from that, ano pa yung reason kung bakit naging mas sensitive si LE kaysa sa microscopic? Okay, kasi there are conditions that may cause the medical technologist or the laboratorian to miss the WBCs in the microscopic examination. So for example, yung specimen, dilute alkaline urine. Okay. In dilute alkaline urine specimen, so if you try to remember earlier in changes in unpreserved urine, okay, in WBCs, RBCs, and CAST may be decreased kapag uh, alkaline or dilute yung alkaline, there is a dilute alkaline urine specimen. Okay, so that happens, yung dilute alkaline urine specimen usually nangyayari kapag improperly preserved yung specimen. Okay, or unpreserved yung specimen. Okay, so ano mangyayari kapag lysed yung WBCs? So may tendency na ma-miss na medical technologist yung WBCs na microscopic. Okay, but that doesn't mean that leukocyte esterase will have a negative result. Okay, but still, kasi nga naman ang dinedetect ni LE or leukocyte esterase is the presence of the granules. So kahit mag-lyse yan, okay, madedetect niya pa rin yung granules. Okay? Madedetect niya pa rin yung granules. So esterases, aside from granulocytes, are also present in Trichomonas vaginalis and histiocytes. Histiocytes are macrophages in the connective tissue. The connective tissue macrophages. Lymphocytes, erythrocytes, as I said earlier, lymphocytes. Bacteria and renal tissue cells do not contain esterases. So now move on to the technicalities of leukocyte esterase. So the principle employed here is reaction of the leukocyte esterase, the enzyme released by the WBCs with an acid ester. So the acid ester is embedded in the reagent pad itself. Okay, so ano yung mga acid ester na yon? So derivatized pyrrole amino acid ester or indoxyl carbonic acid ester. Okay? For indoxyl carbonic acid ester, may addition siya ng diazonium salt. Okay, to facilitate the reaction. So LE can be correlated with tests or with results from nitrite, okay, for urinary tract infection as well as protein, as well as microscopic for the presence of bacteria or WBCs. So for leukocyte esterase, affected siya by strong oxidizing agent, okay, oxidizing mga detergent, formalin, highly pigmented urine, false negative naman, high concentrations of protein, glucose, oxalic acid, ascorbic acid, gentamicin, or antibiotics yan. Okay? Cephalosporins, tetracyclines, inaccurate timing. So, inaccurate timing, so again, in order to assure na wala ka nung, di mo iiba yung timing, okay, may kakaroon ng inaccurate timing. So again, leukocyte S3 is greater than 120 seconds, diba? Or 120 seconds. Greater than 120 seconds yan, or 120 seconds. Take note again, ascorbic acid, BB lang, di ba? Blood bilirubin, leukocyte, nitrite, glucose. So we're gonna talk about yung mga review questions nung na-discuss natin, okay, for chemical examination. So which laboratory picture is observed in patients with hemolytic anemia? So again, hemolytic anemia, the most useful test, okay, for evaluation ng hemolytic anemia sa chemical reagent pad is, okay, urobilinogen. Okay, urobilinogen. So, aside from that, ano pa? Okay, so again, urobilinogen, positive yon. How about for urine bilirubin? Anong reaction niya? So again, normally, kahit mataas yung urobilinogen, okay, normally lahat naman yon converted bilirubin, okay, lahat ng bilirubin for hemolytic anemia converted into urobilinogen since hindi naman obstructed yung bile duct or your biliary system. So for hemolytic anemia, magne-negative ang bilirubin doon. How about for unconjugated bilirubin? So again, hemolytic anemia, okay, may cause release of hemoglobin. So mas maraming hemoglobin, mas maraming converted into unconjugated bilirubin. Okay, so ang result for this, the answer for this question is letter C. Positive unconjugated bilirubin, negative urine bilirubin, positive for urobilinogen. Patient urine is 4.5. Okay, ganyan na siya tinanong. Okay, so ano kaya ang tamang sagot? So 4.5 is basically acidic pH. Okay, pH 4.5. Okay, so acidic, saan ba dyan yung associated with acidic condition? So if di alam, pwede tayong uh, remove ng wrong answer. Okay, for renal tubular acidosis, again, pag sinabing acidosis, wag isipin na acidic yan. Okay? Renal tubular acidosis refers to the inability of the kidney tubules to acidify the urine or excrete hydrogen ion in the urine specimen, in the urine sample. Okay, so for A, okay, associated dyan is alkaline pH. Okay, for high protein diet, okay, ito yung associated with acidic pH. Okay, so how about for vomiting? So vomiting may cause, again, vomiting may cause metabolic alkalosis. That's why since metabolic alkalosis, ang magiging urine pH nun, alkaline. Hyperventilation naman, ito naman yung compensatory mechanism for compensatory mechanism for metabolic acidosis. Okay, producing alkaline urine. So, tama sagot dito, letter B, high protein diet. Okay. Next question. The blood reagent strip test is positive. Meanwhile, for the microscopic examination, no red blood cells were seen. Okay, so what is the most probable explanation kung bakit walang nakitang RBCs? Okay, so again, there are several reasons for this result. Okay, usually kapag positive again for positive blood reagent strip, it may signify the presence of red blood cells, hemoglobin, or myoglobin. Okay, so since in the microscopic examination wala nakitang red cells, okay, you may suspect na baka yung specimen ni patient may laman na hemoglobin or myoglobin. Okay, but in this given or in this choice, walang ganon. Okay, walang ganon choice. Okay, presence of hemoglobin or myoglobin. So, ano kaya yung most probable reason? Okay, aside from those reasons. Okay. Okay, so in here, actually, ang tamang sagot is letter D, dilute urine. Okay, so bakit kaya dilute urine yung tamang sagot? So if you try to remember, dilute alkaline urine or dilute urine, okay, may cause the RBCs to lyse. Okay, so may cause the RBCs, WBCs, and some CAS to disintegrate. Okay, so yun yung reason kung bakit wala ka siyang nakita na red blood cells sa microscopic examination. Itong letter A, hindi to pwede yung sagot, ascorbic acid, kasi dapat magne-negative ang blood reagent strip. Okay, magne-negative since si blood reagent strip kasama sa B lang. How about for letter B, concentrated acidic urine? Okay, to try to remember, RBCs or red cells are well preserved or sediments are well preserved in acidic urine. Okay, so ito naman, hindi naman siya mag-fit dito. Okay? For vomiting naman, hindi naman siya related. Okay? Hindi naman siya related dyan. Okay, with blood. Okay, next. Elevated urine bilirubin with normal urobilinogen is indicative of. So again, urine bilirubin in conjunction with normal urobilinogen. Okay. Again, increased bilirubin is most useful for the presumptive diagnosis of biliary duct obstruction. So ito naman si hemolytic disease, positive naman si urobilinogen, negative naman sa bilirubin. Okay, ito positive sa bilirubin, negative si urobilinogen or normal. For hepatitis, both hepatitis and cirrhosis, positive, okay, si urobilinogen, okay, positive, maybe positive or negative naman si bilirubin. Okay, same siya with hepatitis. Positive si bilirubin, si bilirubin may or may not be positive. Next, how about this question? Nitrite negative, Le positive, but for a microscopic examination, wala ulit nakitang WBCs. Okay, so again, yung sinabi ko kanina regarding the comparison of the leukocyte esterase and microscopic examination. So, leukocyte esterase is considered as more sensitive than microscopic since it is able to detect, okay, the presence of WBCs by means of measuring esterase granules, okay, kahit in cases of namaglize yung WBCs in dilute urine. Okay, so in this number, in this case, the answer is letter Oh my God. Ito yung letter. Hindi ko pala siya lagyan. Sorry. So, the answer is letter C. Okay. Lice WBCs in dilute urine.